We have some massive news, everyone, and that's the fact that Zillow just downgraded their housing forecast across the entire U.S.
Hi, my name's Michael Smith. Welcome back to the channel. I'm a real estate agent in the greater Phoenix area, Scottsdale and Paradise Valley. Another week goes by in the Phoenix real estate market, and today's update is talking mostly about Zillow. Zillow came out and changed their forecast from a positive forecast to a negative forecast. They put out predictions for certain cities in the United States, including the greater Phoenix area. Right now, they're saying that the greater Phoenix area has experienced 35% price reduction. We're going to go through some of the other cities in the United States right now, take a look at that, and just talk about what's happening in the market, what we see every week. The first thing I think that everybody's going to see is their own neighborhood. I have an example across the street from my house. There's a rental property. It's never been vacant in the last 10 years that I can remember. And right now they just went through, they painted the inside, they cleaned it up inside and out. And a sign's been sitting out there for 3 to 4 weeks now, and I don't see any cars going up to it to take a look at it. Now they're probably trying to get a little bit more rent than they did before, but we're seeing a lot of rentals out there, 3-bedroom being the most popular in the greater Phoenix market, and they're sitting vacant right now. A lot of landlords are having to reduce their price. Normally it's kind of rent versus buy, and if rents get to a certain extent, then the buyers step in. The next thing that we're seeing right now is people are being really picky when they come into the houses. I did an open house yesterday in McCormick Ranch. Today I'm going to be doing one in Gainey Ranch. These are two really nice subdivisions, very popular in Scottsdale. Yesterday I had 3 couples come through. Normally I would probably get 7 couples coming through. Now there's a couple different types of open houses, and I'm not going to go into it too much, but the basics of doing an open house are one thing. Are you doing it to help sell the house, or are you doing it to promote the real estate agent? My preference is to promote to sell the house. And how do I do that? When people come in and I ask them, did you see this online or were you driving by? If they tell me they saw it online, they already know the price, they know what it looks like inside, but they want to see it in person. A lot of them have their own real estate agent, but they still want to come out and look at the home. A lot of people do like to go out and just look at homes on the weekends, but those aren't the people that I want to bring into my clients' homes. I want to bring in ready, willing, and able buyers into their home. I don't want people just coming in to look at their home. I want to bring in people that can afford to buy their home and are actually in the market. I can put out 100 signs to draw into an open house, and yeah, I'm going to get some leads out of it, but that's not my intent. My intent is really to help sell my clients' homes. So now what is Zillow forecasting for some of these other cities? So let's take a quick look at the Zillow forecast from 2024 and now into 2025. So Zillow's housing predictions they were produced in November of 2024 actually for 2025. They say housing market activity will pick up. They forecasted a 2.6% home growth in 2025 at a relatively slow pace, slightly up from 2023. They say mortgage rates will fall, then rise again, then fall. I would agree with that, and that's probably going to be the case. But that's a pretty easy prediction to make, isn't it? They got a 50% chance either way. Buyers' markets are going to spread to the southwest. Well, I'd say that's pretty true. A lot of the markets that are going down right now are the markets that went up the most after the pandemic. A lot of people moved and now they have to move back. There's a lot of Californians that moved over to Arizona, Austin, Texas, Florida, New Yorkers that moved to Florida. A lot of the people are moving back now for one reason or another. For my sister's case, for an example, she lived in California. She moved over here during the pandemic because she didn't know what the future held. She was able to keep her job, and now they're forcing her to come back to California. The difference between living in Arizona, even though it's gotten much more expensive, and living in California is huge, especially in the San Francisco area. She lives a great lifestyle over here, and now when she has to move back, she's going to be moving into a 1-bedroom condo, most likely, or an apartment. She won't be able to buy anything, and she's just going to have to deal with it. The traffic over there is horrendous. The cost of everything is substantially still higher than Phoenix. Another thing that Zillow predicted here, Americans are going to embrace small home living. I don't know about that one, but a lot of people will probably have to settle for a smaller home just due to affordability. But I can tell you that, when people are used to having a bigger home and they're growing a family, it's really hard to downsize. But they can afford what they can afford. A lot of people will look at a condo and maybe even a townhome. We have a lot of townhomes in the Phoenix market, especially in Scottsdale, which is really popular with our retirees. The problem is a lot of those are only 2-bedroom. And here they say last call for rent concessions. They're saying last call for rent concessions in 2025, or they're predicting. I'd say that's totally been wrong so far. So we'll know more when we sign the lease next week. So now the updated version of the Zillow forecast, which just came out on April 18th, it says home prices are projected to drop by 1.9% this year. So that's a pretty good difference. And Zillow is normally overly optimistic. So normally they're promoting go, go, go with the real estate market. And, this time they're finally predicting something worse. We take a quick look at the 30-year fixed, which is a big factor right now. Let's just say, for an example, that interest rates drop to 5.99% next week. That would probably spark the market, but right now it's kind of hovering between 6.5% and 7%, and that's not enough for people, especially with the high price of homes. In April 2025, Mortgage News Daily said their average survey for a 30-year fixed was 6.84%. That's down a little bit, but the prior year we were at 7.52%, so it's definitely down. Now one of my clients was able to get a 6.5% rate locked in a few weeks ago. So they're all over the board. It just depends on what type of loan you're getting, what your credit scores are, how much money you're putting down. There's a number of things you have to look into. The one thing that's killing the market right now that most people don't see or talk about on Zillow is the fact that HOAs have raised their fees because their costs have gone up. They're not collecting enough dues in a lot of these older communities that people have lived in for a year, and people fight the increases every single year. I managed a couple of HOAs for a while. I was involved on the board of directors, and I did the budget for one of them. I told the people we need a nuisance raise of the HOA fees every single year, because it's a lot harder to get people to do a big jump than it is a small jump. It's kind of like the gym membership. They raise the prices until they can't, because they figure if I charge $15 a month for a health club membership, the people may never come, but they may not cancel it on their credit card. If it gets up to $50 a month, when times are tough, they're definitely going to cancel it. That's kind of the way these gym franchises work. A lot of franchises, actually, where they want to get money out of you every month. But everybody's bills are going up higher every month, because now to watch certain TV channels, we have to get multiple different subscriptions. I'm tired of all that. So you just can't get away from this monthly subscription fee that we all end up paying every day. So that's the update for this week. We're still seeing a slow market. Things are sitting on the market longer. Sellers are having to do price reductions. I'm doing open houses, trying to help my clients get the maximum exposure to their listings. And a lot of people right now are really wondering what the future holds. Have a great day.